Hi, welcome to this little review video that I am making regarding the Sony ZV1 and of course the relationship of that camera along with my Moza gimbal. I'm not going to be talking about my Moza gimbal so much. I'm just going to be talking about the Sony ZV1 per se. Now this is a first-time user. I've seen so many reviews of people on YouTube, and when they talk about the Sony ZV1 and they're like, oh, it does this thing, it does that thing, and then they have comparisons. So this video is not going to be about me comparing it with other cameras because I really don't have other cameras except for the RX 100, which is also made by Sony. But the ZV1 is really good. It is my main camera and I'm totally loving it. But in this episode, I just want to talk about the 3 good things about it and the 3 not so good things about it. The first thing is the Sony camera is very small, which I really love about it because it's very easy for me to take the camera, throw it into my bag, put it into my pocket and simply go. As compared with other cameras where you have like a little bit of a setup time. That means what you'll do is when you go to a venue, you want to shoot, you have to take out your camera, maybe attach the lens. If you're on a gimbal, you have to set it on the gimbal, do the balancing act on the gimbal, and by the time you're ready to shoot, the action is probably already over. So to me, I like the Sony camera because it allows me to immediately take it out of my pocket and start shooting. So I love the fact that it is very compact and is very travel friendly. The other thing I like about the camera, which I did not know about this stuff till I saw reviews by other people on YouTube, and I said, oh my God, you know what? Because when I was looking for a camera, I had a certain budget. I had like $1,000 US. And I said, okay, whatever I do, I'm not allowed to spend more than $1,000. And I started, when you have money, a certain set amount of money, you start planning the money out better as compared to, saying, okay, I'm going to start with $1,000, but if it goes more than that, I have no problem. I didn't want to do that. I just said, I just want to do a small little setup because at that time we were working at home a lot. We were, during the pandemic period. So I wanted to have a very nice camera so that I could record videos and put it up online for my students, which is what I was doing. And at that time, it came down to 2 cameras, the Canon M50 and the Sony ZV1. Now the Canon M50 was a little bit more cheaper because it was an interchangeable lens. So that means you could just go and buy some different type of lens and attach it on. Whereas the ZV1, the lens is actually fixed, which is considered as a fault. But you know what? I think it's kind of okay because the camera performs pretty well, so I'm perfectly okay with it. These are the 2 features the Sony ZV1 had, which I thought was really cool. And I thought, oh, I like this. I want to use it for that reason. So that is the reason why I ended up buying the Sony ZV1. One is the background defocus. That means if I want, I could actually defocus the background and have the camera focus only on me, which is pretty interesting when you're doing some kind of cinematic type of video, which is kind of cool. When you're doing cinematic vlogging, when you're on the street, you can actually defocus the background and just let the camera focus only on yourself, which I think was a wonderful thing. The second one was known as a product focus. That means I could, if I was reviewing a product, I could just put the product towards my camera right over there, and then it'll just focus on the product as compared to focusing to me, and it will snap between the product and me. I'm not sure if my focusing is on right now. Maybe when I click record, I forgot to do it, but you can see that it may focus on that and then it may focus on me. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Now I don't really do a lot of product reviews. I just end up doing a lot of product reviews just because I'm learning how to make videos, and I thought, oh, it'll be nice to talk about a product and my experiences in using the product. So those are the 3 cool things. One is it's easy to carry. The second one was the background defocus, and the third one was the product focus, which I think those are kind of cool 3 features to have the Sony ZV1, even though there are more than 20 different reasons why you should think about buying the Sony ZV1. Now the bad thing is this. The battery is kind of small. Now the camera is a very high compact camera. That means it's a high performance camera even though it's such a small size. The battery consumption is very high in the sense that when you're using the camera, or when I was using the camera, I realized that I could not get more than 60 minutes of play. That means I was shooting, and not in 4K, just shooting 1080p. It was just like an hour, and as soon as an hour was going towards the hour, I had to change batteries. And to me, I wish it had more than that, but you know what? It's not a big deal. I'm okay with it. I do have a spare battery, so I just switched the batteries and it's perfectly fine. The second thing is when you have the Sony camera, and if you start attaching it to, like for my example, like here, let's say I've attached it to the shoe, and I want to attach the camera onto my gimbal. And once I do this whole attachment thing, and if my battery runs out, I have to remove all of this just to get to the battery and the SD card also. So that's a little bit cumbersome, especially when you are in the field and you're shooting and you want to change your batteries, you want to change your SD card. So I was hoping that Sony, if anybody from Sony is watching this video, is because I have this gimbal right here. What they could do is maybe they could make an L wire with a separate battery, so that when the camera is on the gimbal, the battery could be attached right here onto the gimbal, and the wire can just go and it will just charge. So that way, instead of changing the battery over here, you simply change the battery over here. I think that would be interesting, because I was asking myself, is there anything out there that you could buy that you could do that, where because it has the Sony has the old micro USB connector. So it allows you to charge the camera while it's in operation. So if that was the case, then what I would request, or I would try to see if I could find, is an L wire that would go to a battery pack, where I could put the battery right over here, and the wire could go to the camera like that, where I don't have to change the battery over here. I simply have to change the battery outside over here, which I thought was kind of cool. That way I don't have to dismantle the camera from my gimbal all the time. To me, when I'm using the camera, I'm actually using the camera with my gimbal. I think 90% of the time, this is like one outfit. I don't use the camera on its own. I would actually always have it on the gimbal and use it from the gimbal. So because of that, having that little bit of a adjustment of a battery would be kind of cool. Anyway, it's just an idea. I was thinking about it, like, wow, it would be nice if somebody made that kind of battery that you could have it over here, and then the wire just going to the camera, and every time the battery runs out, no problem, you don't have to remove the camera from the gimbal. You simply have to change the battery over here because it's outside, and you don't have to remove it from the L bracket, so to speak. The other thing is the fixed lens. Now, I'm okay with the fixed lens. I don't have a problem with the fixed lens. I know when I bought the camera, I knew what I was buying. I knew that, okay, I will not be able to change the lens. Right now, the Sony camera is my A camera. That means my main camera that I use for all my videos on my channels, and even when I'm working with clients, that is the camera I use. I'm saving up for another camera, so at some point, I will buy maybe a bigger camera, a more professional grade, much bigger. The Sony's a 1-inch sensor, right? Maybe I'll go for a full frame camera at some point, and then the Sony camera will become my B camera. But right now, I think it's a fantastic camera. It is the only camera that I'm using besides the RX, and I think it is just a beautiful camera. And so anyway, those are my comments regarding me using the camera as a first-time user. I've been using it for a few months already, of course, and it's perfect. It shoots very well. I'm learning a lot of things about the photography or the usage of the camera. I'm learning about aperture. I'm learning about how it works with the gimbal, so that way my shooting is a little bit more better and my output is looking much more professional. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope what I said was helpful to those of you who are thinking or considering buying the Sony ZV1 as your first camera, or considering buying the camera itself. I can't really say that that camera is better than all the cameras out there, but I will make this claim. As far as 2022 is concerned, the Sony ZV1 in its class, in its category, it will be still considered as one of the top 5 cameras all time. I hope you liked this video. Thank you very much for spending a little bit of time. I hope you got some information from me that will allow you to decide whether the Sony ZV1 is good for you or not. And if you should buy it, I think you will not be disappointed with the camera. It is a very high-performing little piece of machine that really does a very good job. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.